Hey, what's up, Aaron?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fantastically.
Perfect. I can hear you too, and everything is recording just fine. That's always the biggest struggle with this, which is a pain in the butt, but
yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It's so funny because it's like, out of all the, I guess, J Moore sports guys, you're the least person I know about. I mean, I know you, but I don't know you as like I do a lot of the other guys.
Right.
But I know you're a Red Sox fan, and is that true?
I am. I'm a Red Sox fan. I probably, out of the 162, I probably watch, over 100 games. I have the thing on my phone where I can just watch it wherever I'm at. And so I catch a lot of Red Sox games. I'm heavily invested. I'm a huge Red Sox fan.
How'd that happen? Did you grow up? Where are you from? Tell me a little bit about where are you from?
I grew up in the Central Valley. I grew up in a little farming town called Selma, which is just a suburb of Fresno, and a little small town of about 15,000 people. So,
okay,
that's where I grew up. So yeah, nowhere near Boston, but
Boston.
I became a Red Sox fan on my 30th birthday trip. My wife set aside a little bit of money and said, "Happy birthday, happy 30th." Plan a trip, and I planned a trip where I can hit Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park in one weekend.
Oh, beautiful.
And I went into Fenway Park, and I'll tell you what, Aaron, it was like I had a born-again experience, a baseball born-again experience. And I experienced the game the way it's supposed to be experienced. Yes. Sat down in these seats that were from 1934 when Fenway Park was renovated. It was renovated in 1934.
That's awesome.
And just the fan base and the way everyone was just living and dying on every pitch, the way they understand the game, the way they understand their team, they know everything. I was sold on it. And I came home from that trip a Red Sox fan. I've been a Red Sox fan for 10 years now.
That's awesome. Like that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's being in Wisconsin, everybody is a huge Badger fan, like everything Badgers.
Right.
But as a kid, my dad always took me to Notre Dame games. And it's that similar experience why I became a kind of a Notre Dame fan is like going into that stadium. You get that chill, like the weird chill, right. Like this, you feel the history almost, I guess.
Right.
So yeah, I totally get the Red Sox thing. So it sounds like you were just always a huge baseball fan.
Yeah, I grew up around baseball. Baseball, it was just part of my family. My dad was involved with Babe Ruth baseball, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but it's youth baseball.
Okay.
And he was the state commissioner for California, and so I was just around baseball from an early age, just all the time. And so yeah, it's just kind of probably my favorite thing. It's funny that Jason Kipnis commercial, on the MLB Network, right? Now it's like, when he's not listening to baseball, he's watching baseball. When he's not watching baseball, he's reading about baseball. And it's like, I'm kind of that way about baseball. And I coach it. I coach at the high school level. Coach my son's team. My son's 13, so I had to take a break from coaching at the high school to coach his little club team for a little bit. And so, yeah, like tonight, for example, we... just before coming to church, we stopped, pulled off at a park that had a little mound, and my son and I threw a bullpen before we came to church. It's just kind of what we do. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that actually explains why you mentioned about my last podcast with the coach.
Yes, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the conversation. I found myself listening as though we were just like a group of guys sitting around chatting, and then except that I couldn't talk back to you guys, and it was I found myself like trying to intervene or interject, and I couldn't interject anything. But anyway, it was still a great conversation, and there were some good points that I agreed with, and then some other things that I kind of had a different opinion on. But
I'd love to hear the counter, because that's kind of why I got into it, because a lot of stuff that I've been reading, everybody has an opinion on it, it seems like, which is kind of why I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
But in being in a different state completely, I mean, you probably have a different look at it. It's probably the same, but you probably have a different look at it.
Yeah, and the thing that people have to keep in mind is that, stuff is so cultural to where you live. I mean, I live right now in Bakersfield, which is about 2 hours south of north of Los Angeles, and the culture here in our town, our town is about 350,000 people, and there's about 18 public high schools here, and it's a big city, and the culture, the baseball culture, especially on the side of town that I live on, is just really deep. I mean, you have zero chance of playing in high school if you are not a year-round player for the 4 or 5 years at least, if not longer, before high school. If you're not playing club and playing year-round, then you just really have no chance of playing in high school. And
I see that. I can see that.
My son right now, he's 13, and so we're playing club. We're doing all stuff. It's what he likes, what he wants to do. And he's a decent player. He's average. I mean, he's not like above average where I would say, wow, he's just gonna be a pro or get a college scholarship or anything like that. I mean, he's just kind of average, especially with the culture that's here. But I'll tell you what, as we were talking about culture, the culture where I grew up in Selma, when I grew up, in the time that I grew up, I didn't play year-round. I played baseball when it was baseball season. Yep. And then when it wasn't baseball season, I played basketball.
Same thing I did.
Yeah.
But that's just weird. So, I think it's a generational thing, too, because, I mean, I'm 36, and that's exactly how it was. I don't think there was a club team or anything else like that. It was just... you play baseball in the summer, and then you play basketball, and then football. That was just that.
Yeah, right. And I kind of feel bad for my son because, to be honest with you, at 13, he's far better than I was when I was 13. but compared to like the culture that we live in here, he's just kind of average. But if he was around me at that time where I was 13, he'd be above average.
Yeah,
he's better than I was at 13, and I ended up going on and playing college baseball and having a decent career after high school and having some fun and experiencing some things in baseball. And, and I hope he has a similar opportunity, in high school and maybe beyond, but I don't know. It's just the culture's just changed. And I think the reason why, to be honest with you, Aaron, the reason why, at least here anyway, is because the rec league culture is such that teams don't stay together. Now, I don't know how it was where you grew up, but where I grew up here in the Central Valley, in Selma, when I got onto a Little League team, I got drafted onto the Reds when I was 10, and I played my 10, 11, and 12-year-old years on the Reds. Same coach, same team. When the 12-year-olds were done playing, you had a draft every year, but you only drafted 10-year-olds. Because then the year before 10s became 11, the year before 11s became 12s, and you just kind of kept your same group together.
You know what? I think that's how we were too. I can vaguely remember. I remember like doing the tryouts, and I remember being drafted by the White Sox, and we played with them for a lot of years, and we kept. That's how it was. Because then we would get more other players and other kids that like go to high school or whatever it was, and so I think it was the same, but now it's not, doesn't seem like that whatsoever.
And every year you're on a different team, every season you're on a different team, and it's roulette with whatever coach you get. Coaches generally are parents who are just trying their best, but really don't really have a lot of knowledge and that kind of thing, and so that's where I feel like now you're getting way more club teams popping up because there's parents that are going like, man, rec has just gone downhill because of the fact that they're always switching. If you were able to keep it together, then I think you can improve the rec level and not have to necessitate, club teams, because that's the only way you can keep kids together is by doing it through club. That's the only way you can keep them together in the current format of the way at least it is here with the organization here is Pony, and so that's the way they do it. They just every season you're just mixed up and you're on a different team. So anyway, that's kind of the thought there, and it's just changed. The culture it's just a different day, a different time, and it's tough, man. The competition is just tough because of the fact that kids just playing you around, and you just have to,
Yep.
get on that trajectory, or else, join the band.
Or football or basketball, or make the mistake that I did and try to pretend that I'll hit the NBA one day.
There you go. So anyway, yeah, let's, what else, man? Let's chat. What else did you want to chat about?
Yeah. Let me just check the audio real quick, just to make sure that sounded okay. And if it did, then we're just going to keep rolling. So hold on one second. Like that's how you felt like you wanted to interject and kind of get in. That's how I wanted this to go. I wanted it to be like whoever's listening feels like they could yell at their computer or phone or whatever it is and be like, what the hell are you talking about? Or no, that's not the best movie, or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Which we all know Tombstone is the best movie. So, I mean, that's not probably a good answer.
Oh my God. I forgot about that movie. Yes. Richard Lackey and I are doing another one soon. And that has to be on my list. I don't know how I forgot about that.
You know what other is Heat? Movie Heat.
Oh, Heat is so good. That gun scene changed.
At the end, it's just...
The 15-minute gun scene, like, it's so good.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Actually, the next list thing that we're doing is all music.
Okay.
He came up with it, and then I said, you know what? Let's do it. I like that idea.
Right.
Okay. Well, before we get into what I really want to talk about, how did JJ's softball tournament go?
The wiffle ball tournament.
Oh, wiffle ball tournament, even better.
Yeah, wiffle ball tournament. It went swimmingly. It was, I think it was a really good success. We had 13 teams out. The weather was beautiful. The gameplay was intense. It was fun. And me and JJ was on my team, and our team won the tournament. So I mean, How could it get any better than that? So, and then we had a lot of fun. It was fun to see. It was fun to see a lot of the Warriors out there. I mean, my good friend, Phil Green, and he brought his family out, and he's got a fantastic family, and so
it's so cool.
Brought them out, and Iggy's mom and Lito were out, and Brad Hutchings, and
wow.
On my team too was No ID Justin was on my team, and it was seriously like a Warrior parade of sorts. It was it was a lot of fun. The real Joe Fresh was out there, being fresh as always, except that he's a Yankee fan. Him and
Joe Fresh can go away.
DJ and Irvine was there, and they're both Yankee fans. And I will say I did throw it up and in at them, and just kind of they deserve that one for bringing Yankee hats to the wiffle ball tournament. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
Joe Fresh is hilarious because we will completely joke around on like Twitter out in the open about kind of just brothers just ragging on each other constantly.
Right.
And somebody sent me a private message saying, "Hey, I think you're going a little over the top. You should be nice to Joe." I'm like, it kind of like shocked. I'm like, wait, what? And I was like, I really had to explain. I'm like, no. Like, honestly, Joe and I talk almost every other day. I was like, so
that's funny.
I go, sometimes I go, we just go on Twitter, like, just to purposely, like almost like hate each other, just to see.
I need to get in on that. I need to get in on that, honestly, Aaron, because I've thought about that before. Like, I wanted to get into kind of a fake Twitter beef with somebody. And just get after it, because I don't really, it's not part of my nature. So it's kind of fun to get after it and just try to bring somebody down a couple notches and just see what happens on Twitter and see what everybody else's response would be. But I guess since I'm talking about it openly on your podcast, I guess I've kind of let it out. But
and it's funny because Fresh is he's a Vikings fan, so I think the whole thing started because I'm a Packers fan, and we were just chatting, and it obviously got heated, but we were just joking, like the whole time. It's just a joke. And and it was just funny because I was like, no, it honestly, it didn't mean anything. Like, we talk really all the time.
I can jump in on it, and then anybody that tries to message us about it, like, hey, you guys need to go easy now that I'm involved, we can know that they're not listening to your podcast.
Yes.
We'd be like, hey, why don't you listen to Aaron's podcast? And then you won't think that way.
But I felt super bad, and like the person who reached out is a sweetheart, and I was like, it almost felt like I was an ass. I'm not an ass. I promise.
Yeah.
Then I told Joe about it, and he just started laughing. He's like, quit picking on me.
That's funny.
So,
Joe's a good dude.
Yeah, we have a good time talking. Same thing. Lackey and I talk a lot too. But let's get to it.
Yeah.
So we've had Harvey and we've had Irma. I don't know what
the J is going to be, like Jonesy or I don't know. They go in alphabetical order. I'm holding out for Kelly for the K. Do you want a hurricane named after you though? That's kind of not a good thing, is it?
No, you don't. Well, no.
I take that back then. I don't want a hurricane named after me.
You got to think of that one kid named Harvey. Every time they talk about it, he's like, "What?" Though?
If your name was Harvey, you've been catching it for a long time before this, though. I mean, let's just be honest.
You're either the chubby kid or your parents really like the movie and they named you Harvey, or it's your grandpa's name. But
yeah. I don't know. The only cool Harvey I know is Harvey Keitel, and I'm not even going to try to do an impression that.
Well, now you have to do it. No, really I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You know what? Oh, never mind. You just answered one of my questions. That somebody posted something how Katrina, those hurricanes were the same and they had the same letters, but now I know because they do it alphabetical order. That's why. Yeah,
they do it alphabetically, and it starts over every year. So that's how you know how far down there, how many named storms there have been in a year is by how far down. I mean, you know, if they get down to like Xavier or Xander, then we're screwed. But
you know, I started this podcast because I wanted to learn something, and you know what? You just taught me something, so we're done here. Let's.
There you go. Wow. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Hurricane talk with Kelly.
Oh, that would be the worst podcast ever.
Yeah.
Hurricane talk with Kelly.
Okay. So now we've had these recent.
Can we talk about how the Red Cross is horrible?
Yeah, that's what we're getting into. But I was going to lead into it with something, so thanks for jumping the gun.
Yeah.
I think
if you got something you want to lead into, I'll be quiet and let you lead into it.
I won't even edit that out. I'll just pretend that we're just talking here. I think I read an article once, or I posted something once, and you sent me an article to read. I could be making that up in my head, but I feel like it happened. The article was an NPR article, and it was in search of the Red Cross's $500 million in Haiti relief.
Yes, I sent that to you.
You did send that to me. Okay. And it basically, NPR said, I really wanted to get to the specifics here. Provided homes for more than 130,000 people, but the permanent homes the charity has built was 6. And then they kind of went on to pretty much saying that there was, you walk around and it looks like there's no money whatsoever, and where did the money go? So then, in that article, as I'm looking at it right now on the fly, but I want to get it kind of right to what it said. So, Red Cross responded saying that these funds have helped build and operate 8 hospitals, clinics, stem a deadly outbreak, provide clean water, sanitation, and move more than 100,000 people out of makeshift tents into safe, improved housing. And then they went on to kind of do their PR thing. But so now, you and I were talking because I kind of want to get into your trips and everything you have done, because you're a hero to me, and that's awesome what you do. But you have firsthand experience.
You need to set the bar a little higher there, friend. but I appreciate that.
You have a lot of experience firsthand, and and I know that, and that's why I wanted to reach out to you and talk to you about this. Especially in that area that we just talked about, and now that we're watching NFL, the first weekend of NFL talked about, or that's all you saw was Red Cross, and that's all you see.
And that, honestly, that bothered me so much that you just see the Red Cross plastered everywhere as like, this is where you should give, because the truth of the matter is the Red Cross was over $100 million in debt prior to the earthquake in Haiti. And after the earthquake in Haiti, they had a surplus of over $100 million. And that was after all the hundreds of million dollars that they supposedly spent there. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, what's going on. But there's a couple things that are just really strikingly obvious in this whole situation. And number one is that they have no accountability.
Yep.
As congressmen are they issue subpoenas and are trying to get information. And the Red Cross is basically saying like, no, we're not going to give you this information. And so you can't even really get a clear answer from them about where did you spend this money. All you get are these kind of generic lists of things. Here's the thing about that list of stuff that you just went over.
Yep.
The Red Cross didn't do any of those things.
Well, you've been down there, haven't you? And you have been down there multiple times, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Haiti like 11 times. So, and several times before the earthquake and several more times after. So here's the thing about $500 million. You can build an entire infrastructure for a country the size of Haiti for $500 million. You could probably build it twice. You could probably build it, tear it down, and build it again.
Yeah.
So the fact that most of the country still doesn't have reliable running water or electricity or things that you and I take for granted. And when the earthquake happened, I think it's hard for us to put into, we just had 9/11 here in the U.S.
Yeah.
9/11 changed our country, and it was a huge turning point in our country, right?
Yeah.
Like 3,000 people, less than 2,000 some odd people died, and for each one of those people, that's a tragic thing. I don't want to minimize. If that's one of your family members, your friends, it doesn't matter the number. That person died, and that's huge.
Yeah.
But put that into perspective, that in the single instance of the Haiti earthquake, 250,000 people died. So 250,000 people, and you have this complete devastation. And then what happens? The U.S. just responds like we always do. Open up our hearts, our checkbooks. We start flooding Haiti with donations through the American Red Cross. Well, the American Red Cross does some good in blankets and water, and they do good things. And I don't want anybody to misunderstand. I think the Red Cross has done good things in the past. The problem is that the Red Cross starts getting into things that aren't their area of expertise. So they got over to Haiti and they had all this money, so they felt compelled to try to do something with all of this money that they had been now given. And in addition to working themselves out of debt, which they were in, once they did that and they're like, now we got to do something with this money, because somebody will probably come asking what we did with it. First off, they take their admin fee off the top of it, which is up to 20%, right off the top.
Wow. And
then they find other organizations that are already doing stuff there, because they recognize, hey, we're not really good at this stuff, so let's find somebody that is. So then they go find another organization that's already doing stuff, and then they give money to them, which is actually a good strategy, because to me, I mean, at least they're recognizing like, hey, we're not really good at this, so let's find an expert who is. But now they're taking that money, giving it to them. Now that organization takes their admin fee right off the top.
Oh, okay.
And so it's every time it passes from hand to hand, somebody's taking a little, they're chipping a little bit off for themselves. And by the time it gets to be operational or functional, there's far less of it left. And that's the saddest part about it. Now, in terms of Haiti specifically, I think there was even more direct shadiness that went on. I think that the people at the highest levels of the Red Cross during that time, in my opinion, should go to jail based on the way that they mismanaged. They were either criminally negligent or else purposefully mismanaging and moving money around and doing things. Either way.
Well, you said they were $100 million in debt, right?
over $100 million in debt
Yeah.
prior to the earthquake in Haiti. That's a
No.
published fact.
Yeah, and then part of that article said, who was it? The United Nations Deputy Special Representative, Joel. I don't even want to butcher his last name.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he said 4.5 million was 100% of the urban area in 2010. 100%. It would mean American Red Cross would have served the entire cities of Haiti. So that like that. I think when you describe, like, I didn't really understand the whole thing, but now that you say American Red Cross is the name and it can get the money, but then it says, hey, we don't know if we're 100% good at this, but so we got to pass it down to all these other different places that are good at it, and they have fun. They need to cover their costs, so I completely get, and that's probably where the money went.
Well, and that was really in phase 2, to be honest with you. That didn't happen until way later. I'm talking probably more than a year or two. Initially, they had in mind, they wanted to go over there and actually get involved with nation building, with helping to build infrastructure, build structures, build homes. And they sent U.S. contractors over there, paid U.S. companies, U.S. contractors, and so money never actually went to Haiti.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that people don't really understand a lot about how foreign aid works. Like even the U.S. government, when Bill Clinton was president in the 90s, there was a huge, food shortage in Haiti. So what Bill Clinton did was, he said, all right, I'm going to go to my farmers in Arkansas who helped me get elected, and I'm going to buy all the rice there is in Arkansas. So I'm going to buy all this rice, and then I'm going to put it on ships, U.S. ships, and pay U.S. companies to ship this U.S. rice, and I'm going to dump it into Haiti, and so that everybody in Haiti can eat. Well, it sounds really altruistic, really compassionate, and then the president gets to stand up and go, I just gave, $10 million of aid to Haiti. And he's like, but $10 million never went to Haiti. In fact, it never left the United States. It only went to pad the pockets of people that probably helped him get elected. Then when all that rice got dumped onto the Haitian economy, all the Haitian rice farmers went out of business. All the Haitian rice farmers went out of business because they can't compete with free. People have free rice for months. They get this free rice. So now all these Haitian farmers go out of business because they can't, compete with that. And then when all that free rice is done being consumed, now there's nobody else providing that. So now they're in a worse situation than they were before they got this quote unquote aid. So that's just like one example of how we kind of sometimes have good intentions, but we really foul it up a lot when it comes to actually executing it.
So that's where if I'm giving money, let's say I donate $1 million, then that should go to their infrastructure. It should go to the rice farmers. It should go to anyone in that country that needs it, instead of the American. It just goes to the American people, that American farmer that just stays in our country, and then they get the supplies because it sends them backwards, really.
Exactly. And so, there's a lot of examples time and again of this type of thing. And in fact, probably if anyone that's, still listening to us chat about this, is interested specifically in this, there's a really great book called The Big Truck That Went By. It's by an author. His last name is Katz, K-E-T-Z, Jonathan Katz. And it's basically about the earthquake in Haiti and how the world came to save Haiti, but left behind a disaster. And it gives a lot of detail about some of these things and about how they work, and it's really good. It's informative, but it's also really entertaining because he mixes it in with his recollection of the earthquake, because he was an AP correspondent in Port-au-Prince when the earthquake hit. So he gives like an account of what those days or those hours and days were like, and stuff like that. So it's a pretty good book if anyone's interested.
No, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah. So going back to Red Cross, I've just seen with my own eyes, having been to Haiti several times before and after. I've just seen firsthand that they were the recipient of an incredible amount of resources and squandered it. Yeah. And I'm sure there's if somebody was able to actually go and really audit and really dig down into how each dollar was spent, I honestly think that nobody would ever give to the Red Cross ever again.
Do you think, so obviously they're everywhere right now, but with Houston and everything else and being within our country, do you think they've either figured it out where, because if they screw this up, people will know? Yeah.
And, I just saw a video yesterday actually of a Houston city councilman. It's probably circulating on Facebook, maybe you've seen it, but of a city councilman in Houston that was basically saying, like, nobody give to the Red Cross. Here we are in Houston.
I didn't see that.
Cross. I haven't seen them doing anything. And in an open Houston city council meeting, talk specifically about the Red Cross. And, and like I said, I'm sure that, and let me back up and say this. The Red Cross is made up of volunteers.
Yep.
The people that do stuff with the Red Cross are volunteers. So they're not getting paid. So they're showing up to volunteer, and they're giving out food and clothing and donations and things like that are given by donation. So how you get in that kind of debt when you're not paying a giant workforce and all of the resources that you are giving out are resources that have been donated to you? To me, I'm at a loss for trying to figure out how they get in that kind of debt, except for wasteful, criminal, negligent, management of funds that there's no accountability. It's almost like they're immune to anybody asking questions because of the history of the Red Cross, and people just don't have this idea of who the Red Cross is. So, it's almost like when they see another disaster come, it benefits them, because now it's like, oh, now we're going to get a more influx of money, and we can sort of just continue to hide the mismanagement and the neglect of the last disaster because we're covering it with the abundance of money from this disaster.
And that's where the PR team comes in and says, "Hey, we raised $500 million for this," and then no one checks where that $500 million goes.
Exactly. And what? To be honest, the other reason why you see it everywhere is because it's just easy.
Yeah.
Right. It's easy to just, when something happens, the first thing you think of is a Red Cross. So it's kind of an easy go-to instead of really doing some thoughtful research into, like, how can I really make a difference? What can I do to really make a difference? So for me, in going to Haiti, I've developed a friendship with a local friend of mine who lives in Haiti, who started a school in Haiti because he realizes that education is the key. Most kids in Haiti don't have access to education the way we do here in the United States.
What sends you down to Haiti? I don't think I ever got into that with you.
Say that again?
So why did you start going down to Haiti, and why do you continue to go down there? Like, what are you doing down there?
You know what? It first started with a hurricane.
Okay.
I saw an article online, and it said, if you're squeamish, don't scroll down. And of course, when you see that, what do? You scroll down.
Yep.
And so when I saw that, I scrolled down and I looked at the pictures, and the pictures were some guys pulling kids out of mud. That were dead, that had just been sort of, pulled away by mudslides. And I read the article, and it was just talking about how, Haiti's so poor that they cook, most of the country still cooks by open flame and by charcoal. And so they deforested most of the country. You know, it's mostly 95% deforested. And so when you don't have any forests or anything like that, really, then what happens when a hurricane or a big storm comes through, it just creates these incredible mudslides. And so whole villages get swept away, kids and families. And so when I saw that, I just found a friend of mine who runs an organization called Global Passion. And so I called my friend Steve and just said, do we have anything in Haiti? And he said, we've never been to Haiti before. And I said, sounds perfect. Let's go. Yep. And so him and I just went down to Haiti. We met with this guy who's now a dear friend of mine named Benit June in Haiti. And he runs a school there. He started a school there for 29 kids in this little one-room kind of deal, and him and a chalkboard and 29 kids. And he's built that over the last 14 years now. He's built that school up to.
Wow.
He's got nearly 800 kids that he provides education for, and is making a difference in his kind of local context. And so I just sort of chose to kind of get behind something where I know that it's getting straight to the source.
Yep.
And making a difference there. And so that's where I go, and that's what I do, 2 or 3 times a year. I head down and do that. And I'd love for you to come with me, Aaron. I'd love for you to come with me and check it out.
As soon as my kids get a little older and the wife will let me go, I'm down for it. Or if I can get the wife to go with me, that would definitely, because it sounds awesome. I mean,
Phil Green.
Yeah.
Used to be Phil in Tacoma.
Phil in Tacoma. Now he's Phil in.
He just went with me on my last one, and man, we had a great time. Him and I shared a room. I'm not going to say whether or not we shared a bed, but we did share a room. And
I know what happened there.
Yeah. No, he's a good dude. And we sweat and we worked and we hugged kids and gave out food and
that's awesome.
Just had a great time. And so, yeah. But, so that's a little bit about Haiti. And that's kind of where the whole American Red Cross kind of thing started with me, is because of Haiti. And I was in line at Panda Express a couple of days ago, and she said, "You want to donate the 12 cents left from your change to the American Red Cross?" And I said, "Absolutely not." And she got all big-eyed and was like, and I said, "I wish I had time to tell you why I'm not, but there's some hungry people behind me, so I'll just keep moving."
I'll say, here's a podcast you can listen to. Just here, listen to this.
Yeah. And you know what? Since that article, that NPR ProPublica article, there's been some others written since then, and giving a little bit more detail and talking a little bit more about the lack of accountability and the mismanagement of funds and all those kinds of things. And so I would just encourage anybody that's kind of hearing this for the first time, or maybe they're a little put off by it because they've never heard anybody say anything contrary about the Red Cross. I would just encourage them to do their own research. The truth is the truth. I don't need to color it or shape it or, fold it or mold it or do anything like that. The truth is the truth. And so once they kind of read on their own and get to their own conclusions, I'm sure what they'll do is in the future, they'll give their money to J.J. Watt, or they'll give their money to
I was going to mention J.J. Watt, like he raised $30 million, and where it's going to go. Like, it's staying home.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing. You just think local. It's just like anything else. When you give, think local, and you're going to have a better idea of it getting to where it needs to go, because the people local have an idea of what the real need is there. And so that's what I've chosen to do in Haiti. That's what I think people in the U.S. should do. But there is one organization that I'm really, really in favor of, and it's called Convoy of Hope. So I would encourage anybody to look up Convoy of Hope and see what they do. They do a tremendous amount of work here in the U.S. and around the world in terms of the same type of stuff that the American Red Cross does. But I think they do it better and more responsible and that kind of thing. So anyway.
Yeah, if you can send me all the links that you want, when I publish this, I can send that out there and then post it.
That'd be great.
So then it'll be easier for everybody just to, when they want to click on this to listen to it, they can click away and they can find out where actually is the better places to donate.
Yep, absolutely.
So that works for me. But yeah, I definitely thank you again for chiming in, because ever since you kind of opened my eyes to it, and seeing it over the weekend with Harvey and Irma coming through, and
Yeah.
Red Cross, it's like text. It's so easy to text, or it's so easy to do that. But if you don't know where the money is going, you're donating $20 to wherever, to Red Cross,
Exactly.
but the money doesn't necessarily end up where you think it's going to end up.
Right.
And I kind of feel that way where you see the people wearing the T-shirt, or like on Facebook when you see, hey, Houston Strong T-shirt, pay $20 and get this T-shirt. It's like, I'd rather just give somebody $20 in Houston. I don't want a T-shirt.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover with you. I mean, I could probably talk
Sounds good, man.
youth baseball. We could probably do this again, but as of right now,
I'd
I
love
just
to. Anytime you want to chat, man, I'm game.
Awesome.
I'm game.
yeah, definitely. I do want to chat, but I wanted to get this one out for sure because it definitely is kind of going on right now. So
Yeah.
but all
I
right,
appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to kind of share a little bit about that, because it is something I feel strongly about, and so I just encourage people to kind of do their own research. Not to be kind of lazy with their charity, but to kind of do their own research and discover what is the best avenue for their time and their resources. Because it costs time and resources, man. That's part of who we are, and when we give part of who we are, we should know where we're giving it, and that it's being used for the best way that it can. And I can already just help you to know it's not the Red Cross, so you can scratch that off, go to number 2, and start going from there.
I ever since you turned me onto it and kind of showed me that I never do it anymore, and I'd rather, like I said, I'd rather find somebody in Houston or Florida and say, here, I'm just going to send you money personally.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, awesome, man. I mean,
my friend.
Yeah, let's talk again. We'll talk baseball maybe when we get closer to the playoffs and World Series.
I'd love to. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me.
Of course, dude. Yeah, I think that's a wrap.